Okay, y'all, so let's do a little story time, you know? I've never really done a video this long before, but let's check it out. So, I love to travel. I've been to like over 30 countries at this point. Man, I just love a challenge. I love an adventure. As of last year, like I was 27, I felt like something was missing in my life, you know? I was stuck at home all the time, just working. I was growing a business, full time going on 3 years now, and I was locked in. 5 beats a day for 3 summers type vibe. If you know, you know. But yeah, something was missing, man. Like I hadn't done much for myself. I needed to go on an adventure. So I decided I was taking a trip. And I was going to be doing this with the intention of challenging myself as an artist, because the person that I am now is not the same person that I was the last time I took a solo trip in another continent. I thought I was gonna go to Europe at first. I'd been to Europe like twice at this point. I was just like, I like Europe, I'm gonna go there, you know? But, you know, then I started to realize like, you know, I've already been to Europe, you know, there's so much else to explore. You know, I can't really be going to the same place multiple times, like when there's so much to explore. So I started thinking, you know, I was like, what about Asia? I've always wanted to go to Tokyo. They got China, they got, you know, South Korea, and Asian food is my favorite. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Asia. I'm gonna go to Tokyo. I'm gonna go to Beijing. I'm gonna go to Seoul, and then I'm gonna go to Dubai because I always want to go there. I decided that was the plan, and I started preparing for this trip. You know, I was preparing for months. Like between the time where I actually decided I was gonna take a trip and me actually going out there, it was about 6 months. I was watching hella YouTube videos. I really wanted to perfect like traveling at this point, like just going out there with one big backpack. I was essentially backpacking out there. Half of it filled with clothes and necessities, and half of it with camera gear. Now I know where I want to go. I know what I need. You know, when am I gonna go? And I gotta say, booking the ticket was like, you know, one of the scariest parts, because once I booked it, I was like, we're actually doing this. And so I'm trying to decide when I'm gonna go. Through my research, I saw that cherry blossom season was coming up, and I was like, oh man, that's perfect. Like, so that's my target. End of March, early April. And my first stop was gonna be Tokyo, so I can just wait there for the cherry blossoms to come up. And that's what I did. So I started wrapping up loose ends back here at home, and then the day came, and then I went to the airport and started heading out there. I went from San Antonio to Detroit, short flight, and then Detroit to Tokyo, maybe about like 12-ish hours. And I have a problem with long plane flights. I just can't sit still. But luckily, like at least for the first flight over there, I was just excited, and you know, it didn't really bother me too much. Like I got through it. So I get to Tokyo and everything is foreign. I've never been in Asia before. Like Europe is level one. You know, everybody loves going to Barcelona and Paris and Venice and Rome. That's how I feel. But going to Asia, that's gotta be like at least like level 2 or level 3 difficulty, you know? I get to Tokyo, and you know, I'm just trying to get to my hotel. And what I ended up doing was staying in one of these sleep pod hotels. The first one I stayed at was 9 hours. That was a pretty dope one. And then that's what I ended up doing. Like, you know, my whole time in Japan was staying in different sleep pods for the most part, just around town. And then I woke up the next day and went to Shinjuku and started, you know, taking photos and doing my thing. And then from Shinjuku, I went to Shibuya. I was having fun in Shibuya. I met up with some other travelers at a hostel there. So much to do in Shibuya, like the food, the sights, like it was everything to me. The food was super cheap compared to over here. Like I prefer Shinjuku over Shibuya though. I'm just throwing it out there. Shibuya is very touristy, and I feel like Shinjuku is definitely more of the authentic Tokyo experience. So I was in Japan for about 2 weeks, and then one day I just kind of woke up and I'm like, no, I did everything that I needed to do out here. I booked a train ticket, one of the bullet trains to Mount Fuji. You know, I knew Mount Fuji was gonna be cool, but it really surprised me. Like, it was so beautiful. Like, even the water there, like the weather was perfect. Like, you know, I rented a bike and I was just cruising around like the Mount Fuji area, and that was like a nice like ending to Japan for me. So you know what, I was actually feeling like pretty overwhelmed. You know, I was just traveling by myself, and so I decided to skip Korea, and I decided to also skip China. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to Dubai. I felt like that was gonna be the most different from Tokyo. I booked another one-way ticket from Tokyo to Dubai, and I had a layover in China. China, like that layover for a couple hours, like it definitely threw me off. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know about the Great Firewall of China. Once I got there, like I was trying to communicate with my hotel out in Dubai, and I couldn't use my phone. Like, I couldn't go on Instagram. I couldn't play Clash of Clans. Like, I couldn't even use Google. Like, I knew Instagram was gonna be blocked, but I was like, I can't use Google. Like, I can't use Safari. Like, I can't communicate with my hotel. Like, it was kind of a nightmare, I'm not gonna lie. But I got to Dubai in one piece, and luckily, like, everything kind of worked out. The first thing that I did out there was check out the Dubai frame, and that was actually probably my favorite part about Dubai. Like, there's a nice park there. It was giant. It's probably like the only place that had like grass and trees and stuff. I was in that park for like 5 hours. I spent like the whole day there. And I actually got there like on April 1st, and that's like the beginning of Ramadan, or I'm sorry, the end of it. And so it was just interesting. Like, I didn't really participate in the holidays, but I did get to see some of the festivities, and people were out and about having fun. So it was just cool being out there, you know. I got to go out to Asia for the cherry blossoms. I caught Ramadan. Like, it was going crazy. But from there, I went to the Dubai Mall, and I got to see the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. I didn't even know it was the tallest building in the world, but you know, I was doing research while I was there, and I was like, But I spent a whole day at the Burj. I went to the JBR stuff, like the Palm, like where you take a tram into this like man-made island that's shaped in the form of like a palm, I guess, or like some sort of flower or plant. I stayed out in Dubai for like a week. I did my thing, but I was getting homesick and overwhelmed. Yeah, I was having fun and stuff, of course, you know, but I was like, you know what? I'm missing stuff back at home. I just need to get back to America. So I woke up, and, you know, I was going to go from Dubai to San Antonio, but the flight was like 16 hours, like on a plane. And I was like, I'm not trying to do that. You know, let's get creative and see what else is out there. And going from Dubai to New York, a 10-hour flight at max. And I was like, that's way better. And the flight was way cheaper too. And so that's what I did. Like, I flew from Dubai to Italy, and then from Italy to New York. That flight was like 10 hours. And then I stayed in New York for, you know, one night. You know, I was on a plane for 10 hours, but, you know, I somehow found the energy to, you know, make the most out of that. I got to New York at 3, went to my hotel. It was like 4, showered, you know, got ready. I went to White Castle because, you know, anytime I'm in New York or Las Vegas, I gotta hit a White Castle. I was good. I went out to Times Square and I started doing my thing. Like, I was out there for like 5 hours. Like, that was the last part of my trip, so I was just making the most of it. Went to Radio City, 30 Rock, like all that cool stuff. And so I had a good day in New York. Woke up the next day. I saw that there was like cherry blossoms in Central Park. So I was like, man, like I'm gonna be able to catch them in Japan and New York, like the craziest thing. So I took advantage of that, but it was raining like crazy. My hands were freezing, like it was so cold. Like my camera was getting wet, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know. I went to, I think it's called Cherry Hill. I got my photos. From there, I went to Grand Central Terminal with, you know, the Madagascar animals. You know, I had to go check them out. But yeah, no, that was like a dope site. I was just killing time before my flight back to San Antonio. And then I wrapped up my trip. I came back home, and that was pretty much it. So, you know, I'm just so glad that I took this adventure. Like, it was so interesting because, you know, my last time, whenever I went to Europe by myself, I was 20 and I was a way different person. I was so much more outgoing and, you know, a lot more wild, and I was still so naive, of course. Like, that was definitely an experience. And then compared to now, is this trip was more about me being like more comfortable with myself. As an introvert now, I'm more to myself, and I'm more just about like creating my art, because that's what I love to do. Whereas the last one was more about like finding myself, you know, who I am, just on my own. And that was 8 years ago. But, you know, I'm back now, and I'm glad I went. I got a lot of great photos and videos, and, you know, I got to see, you know, everything that I wanted to see. So, and I got the adventure out of my system. You know, I'm back here at home in Texas. I'm ready to just, you know, move on to the next chapter, continue to push my art to the next level. So, nice little long video. So, all right, y'all, that's a wrap.